Have you ever been in the middle of an interview and you're talking to the person and all of a sudden they bring up the fact that you were light on a certain competency or experience they were hoping to hire for? That's a problem. It could be a concern, but what I'm going to show you how to do in today's video is I'm going to show you how to listen to their concern, process it, counter it, and actually turn it into a good thing. That concern about how you don't have A, B, and C in your background, well, by the end of this video, you're actually going to turn it into a positive. Let's go. What's up, everybody? This is Ben White with Ben Talks Talent. I've got 11 years experience in hiring, interviewing, recruiting, and I am passionate about using my experience to help you become the best candidate possible and land your next job. In today's video, we are going to be covering something incredibly important, and that's how to rebuttal a concern a hiring manager, a recruiter, or an HR person has about something you are lacking in your experience, right? So you are interviewing for a job, they want you to have blank experience, you don't have that. I'm gonna teach you how to not only make it so you're not dead on arrival and don't get the job, how to counter it and turn it into a positive as to why they should hire you. But before we get into that, do me a quick favor. If you are new here, take 3 seconds, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you never miss one of my videos that are designed to help you become the best candidate possible. And if you are not new, welcome back. Now let's get into the video. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is why this is so important. Recruiters, for example, especially, they have a list, right? A list of things that you just have to have in order to be a fit. And if they're talking to you and they discover one of these things is not a fit, that might be the end of your candidacy. They go, I'm sorry, Ben had A, B, and C, but he didn't have E. And because of that, he's no longer a fit. And if a hiring manager brings it up in an interview, so you got past the recruiter and you're talking to a hiring manager and they bring it up, it's probably really important to them. And it's probably like the last hurdle, the last thing they need to overcome in order to say, you know what? Yes, let's move forward with Ben as a candidate. So if you have one of these, if you encounter one of these, it could be make or break. So it's really important to know how to effectively counter it and move past it. And that's what we're gonna cover today. Now I'm gonna start doing something different for this video. I'm actually gonna tell you how I would respond. So I'm going to actually read a response here, and then I'm gonna highlight at the end of this why I am saying what I'm saying. So let's follow along. The example we're going to use is process improvement. So in this example, I'm interviewing for a role, let's just say it's quality engineer or something like that, and they notice that in my resume, I don't have process improvement. Now, whatever it is that you don't have in your resume, feel free to swap out process improvement with whatever the competency is that you don't have, right? So you're interviewing, you're gonna interview for a job, you look at the job description and you realize, nice to have or must have 5, I don't have that. Whatever that is, sub it in here. But here's how I would answer a question along the lines of, hey Ben, we're looking at your resume and I noticed that you don't have process improvement experience. How do you think you'd be able to do in this role without that very necessary experience? This is how I'd respond. You know, that's actually a really good point, and it's something that I considered while doing my early research. However, process improvement is something that I am really interested in learning about and becoming more experienced in. And I do think it's something that I will ultimately be very good at. Additionally, in prior roles, I came in without some of the necessary skills and was able to quickly learn them on the job. For example, at ABC Company, they needed me to do process creation work, and while I didn't have that experience when I started, I quickly learned throughout observation, proactively requesting feedback, and by hands-on experience. It quickly became something that not only was I proficient in, but it was one of my greater strengths in the role, and for that reason, I think this particular skill is something that I could master quickly, and I would be able to contribute in a meaningful way quickly. All right, so the first thing I did here, the first thing is I demonstrated humility and authenticity by saying that you have the same concern. So early on I go, you know, that's something I thought about when I was doing my initial research, that I didn't have this. Instead of the bravado and overconfidence or trying to ignore their concern, what you're doing there is you're accepting it as a meaningful piece of feedback. And you even say to them in an authentic way, you know what, I have the same concern, so it caused me to think about it. It showed that you weren't just flinging your resume at everything, but you're actually thinking about their concerns because you had the same concerns, and then you thought about how you'd be able to address them and why it wasn't a concern for you. But just admitting that you hear what they said and you also have the same concern, I think it positions you well. Now, the second thing there was I projected confidence in my ability to learn. Right? I said, I think it's something that I'd be able to learn quickly and I'd be very interested in learning. I also said that I was passionate about it, right? By letting them know that it's something you want to be doing, that you just haven't gotten to do yet, It makes it look like you're a better fit because it's something you're doing. It's something you want to do. It's where your career is headed. You don't have it yet, but you're passionate about learning it and gaining that experience. And you also feel like you'd be able to do it. Now, the third thing here, and I think it's pretty important, is I gave past examples of when I didn't have experience, but I was able to learn on the job, right? So whenever you're hiring people, you always want them to have the skills, backgrounds, and efficiencies that you need. But the reality is that every single skill that you have today, you learned for the first time at some point, right? We all learn the things we are good at. And a lot of that is going to have to happen on the job. It's just who is willing to take a risk on you. But by giving them examples of times in the past in which you were able to effectively learn on the job, it's going to provide them with confidence that you can do it here. Now, the fourth thing I did here, and I think this is pretty important, is I highlighted my approach to being intentional about learning. It wasn't just, oh yeah, I learned on the job and it was great. I gave them 3 different things I did. I said, I learned by watching, proactively requesting feedback, and then on-the-job practice. That is so key because you're not just saying I can learn, you're laying down the foundation of how you'll be effective in your learning. And I think that's another way to provide them with confidence. Now, the 5th thing I did, I highlighted a positive outcome. I let them know that I didn't know how to do it, I was intentional about learning, and I was successful. At the end of it, it was something I was really good at, and it was one of my strengths in the job. This is showing them and allowing them to imagine, okay, if we hire Ben, he doesn't have this experience, but he's done this in the past and he became really good. I bet he could become really good at this based on everything he's told me. And the last thing, the 6th and final thing I did here was I reinforced my confidence in my ability to do the job. At the end of all that, I've laid out like a coherent case for why it shouldn't be a concern. I bring it home by saying, I am confident I could learn how to do this and contribute quickly. I'm letting them know it wouldn't be a long runway until I was effective here. I think I can do it quickly and immediately get up to speed and start contributing. You don't need to be worried about this thing I don't have experience in. That is how you can do it. So remember, I give a very specific example here, but the experience, the skills, the backgrounds, those are just variables. So sub out process improvement and whatever it is that you think you're lacking for that job you're interviewing for, put that in its place. And then I think you should be effective. If you can do these things, cover those 6 steps, you're gonna give yourself, in my opinion, the best chance to be successful countering a concern they have about some experience you are lacking. There you go. That's the video. I hope this helps. Good luck in your next interview. You got this.